The Honda Cb125F. Now this is the latest model, which they class here now as 2026 model. But before we go any further, I will just make a disclaimer that I actually got this bike for free. Yeah, so I was supposed to just better clear that up a little bit better. It's not as if Honda Australia rang me and said, we've got a Honda Cb125F you might like for free, come and pick it up. No, it wasn't the case. It was my birthday a couple of days back, and the wife and the two daughters decided to all chip in, buy me this Cb125F due to the problems I had going back a couple of months back when I had the CF Motor 450 out into the scrub on the dirt roads and dropped it and had to have a big walk out, which I'm going to go further later on in the clip on that particular one. So at least this one at 117 kilos, it's nice and light, and at the moment, you've been watching all ride footage around town, a little bit out on the road. So we'll be able to swing into this stage now, and I think I can discuss this bike with you as I've got a lot better idea on it, and hopefully the footage, what I've been doing around town, gives you a bit of an idea. First off, the country of origin, or where it's actually assembled, and to give you that really quick, that's in China. But just because it's assembled in China doesn't mean it hasn't got the Honda quality, and overall these are pretty good bikes in that line. So we'll swing on the price here in Australia. These particular bikes run at $3,900 right away, which, you know, I think is a pretty reasonable price considering its nearest competition. If you jumped up in a Honda range, you'd have to go up to the 350, and that would cost you double the price. And your 350 one, you know, once again, is or the GB350 or the GB350C, you know, when you look at it, they say it's made in Japan, but in actual fact, I think we all know that it's made in India and sent over to Japan, and then they reassemble it and rip the price up. So, you know, that's one way to look at that side of it. Now, they weigh in at 117 kilos, and here we get a choice of three colours. So without going in detail what they are, let's just say red, white and black. So in my case, I decided when I got the opportunity to go for the gloss black, and I think it'll go, you know, it'll match well with the that Triumph Bonneville I just bought, and, you know, it'll be Mr. Big and Little Big. So that'd be one way to look that way. Now, these GB125Fs sit on really skinny tyres, like, you know, really small. They're just like large version of bicycle tyres. So it's got 18-inch front, 18-inch rear in the wheel size. And, like I said, really skinny little tyres, and you can throw the bike around, you know, fairly well in that line. Now, it's a fuel-injected motor, and naturally in these day and age, you don't get kickstart or anything like that, so it's just press button start. And the braking system is combined like front disc, rear drum, and when you apply one of them, I think it's a foot brake, it combines both at the same time. So, you know, as far as that goes, it would have been good if it was with dual channel ABS and they'd slapped a disc on the back and charged an extra couple of $100. I reckon that would have been a really good move. But cause in this day and age, there's nothing better than ABS braking, or that's what I think in that line. But, you know, you can't have it that way. So that's the main things, appearance-wise, to look at what goes on with this particular bike. And now I'll get into the details from the change from the previous model, how they upgraded the new model. Now guys, before we go into the upgrades for the 2026 model in the Cb125F, just thought I'd let you know that I'm not going to be here pussyfooting this bike around. Like I said, I'm in Australia. I like riding dirt roads. I like riding hilly countries. And this bike will definitely go into some rough country for sure, just to see how it performs. And more importantly, it's just going to go here in the stock configuration. So if you want to come back and subscribe to the channel and see what happens on these particular runs, this will be well worth coming back to have a look, because I'll be flying drones, running the cameras, going, like I say, going into some really outback places where you'll be surprised where I'll take this bike. So if that appeals to you compared to somebody just riding it around town or the odd trip out on the road, believe me, this will hit the dirt a lot quicker than what you think. So that's something for you to think about. So let's get on to what the upgrades are for 2026. Now, if we go back 2 years, 2 years ago, 2023, these bikes in Australia were selling for $3,800 right away, no more to pay. Now, this year, they're still under the $4,000 mark, and they're sitting at $3,900, so they've only gone up $100. Yeah, so I think that's a pretty good deal, to go into the new model and only a $100 increase in price in 2 years. Now, best thing I can see going for the new model is it's got a 4.2-inch colour TFT display dash. So the best thing about that side is this year they've brought back the rev counter. So you've got the rev counter in it. You've also got the gear position indicator, which is a plus there too. And this model comes with turn-by-turn navigation. And it also is capable, if you've got the right headsets, I suppose, to run music and calls and everything like that. Now, that won't really affect me much because in most of the places where I'm planning on take this bike in the backcountry, well, I've got no reception there anyway, so it won't help if it won't help with turn-by-turn navigation or anything else like that. But if somebody's got their eye on something, where else are you going to get a bike for under $4,000? It's got virtually the navigation side of it too. Now, the other thing it's going for, it's got the USB-C port on it too, so that's good. You can charge your phone or whatever you want to as you're going along, so that's a plus there too. And more importantly, some people might like the fact that this is actually the first bike with a clutch in the Honda range, the small stuff, which has got a start-stop system. Well, I never use that even on the scooters when I've got it, but some people like that idea, if they pull up and they're sitting at a traffic light for a couple of minutes. The fact is the bike will turn itself off, and then when you touch that throttle after that and pull the clutch, well, it'll kick back on and away you go. But that once again, is a function that really wouldn't affect me that much because where I live, I've only got a couple of minutes and I'm out on the open road and right out to the areas where I like riding the most, that's dirt road riding. Yeah, so I think by adding a stop-start system for this year's model, Honda's actually claiming massive fuel economy. So I think if you work on, depending on part of the world this is going to, so if we talk in imperial mile per gallon, that's 4.5 litres per gallon in that thing. I think in the US it's 3.7, something to that effect. But Honda are claiming a jaw-dropping 188 mile per gallon. Or I think if we go to our style, about 1.4 litres per 100 kilometres. Now, from that 11-litre tank, that's a huge amount of kilometres you supposedly get. I'm going to put it to the test when I get the chance, and I'm going to drain the tank totally, put in 1 litre. I'll ride around town and see exactly what you get in real-time riding, and then also when I'm out there running around giving it a bit of a hard time in the scrub too. So we'll put that one to the test. Now, the other thing in there, on this particular model, they've upped the amperage on the battery from a 4 amp to a 5 amp, and they've also fitted LED headlight and taillights. And while they've at it, they've beefed up the plastics a bit and sort of restyled them, make them a little bit smarter. And the screen, or like a fly screen the older model had, they've chopped it off a bit and sort of made more refined. Now, one good thing I will sort of mention to you, which I think is sort of interesting, like not long ago I bought this Triumph Bonneville 900 and it hasn't even got a centre stand. Now, with this particular little Honda for under $4,000, it comes with a centre stand and it also goes with grab rails at the back there too. So, it's got all the goodies there to give it that get up and go. And I think they put out roughly 10.7 horsepower. So they're not what you call a real powerhouse, but, if I want a bit more power, well, I can always jump on the Triumph or one of the other bikes there. But the thing is, at the moment, I think this is a nice lightweight bike, and it'll be good for me to put into the paddocks after, like I said in the start of this clip, dropping the CF Motor 450 MT in a slight creek crossing. Wasn't able to get it up, and in an area where no reception or anything like that, and I had a horror walk out. And I'm going to take this little Honda back there, the first dirt road I think I'll take it on, as I'm going to go out to that place and see exactly how far I walked on that day, where I was walking for 2 hours in roughly 20-degree heat, no reception, no nothing. And I was walking along there like I'd had my tail kicked out of me because it was really hilly country. And I learnt my lesson that day, and I thought to myself, well, if I'm going to ride these dirt roads, I've got to have a bike, at least if it falls over, I've got a chance of picking it up. And I think this is the bike to do it. and I've been on small capacity bikes before, and I think if you ride the conditions, take it easy, you can get out there and enjoy yourself. What I will do, I'll give you my opinion now of the actual ride around town, what you've been watching and that, and what I think of the process as we go through it. Okay guys, I've been on the bike twice today. I've done 33.6 kilometres, and I figure you could break it up into 3 sections. So the first one would be if you're a learner and you're looking for a good, easy to ride bike. Now I think this would be the bike to go for because it does everything pretty well. But I would say after you'd been on it a couple of months, or not even that, you would sort of yearn that you want more power. So I think that'd be a trouble if you get onto the learner side. But, you know, most of those ones are in their 20s or younger, and it'd be a bit slow for them after a while. Now, if you get more to the mature person like myself, 73, and you want to get out there and you say to yourself, the old story, the faster you go, the faster you go. Well, when you get into your 70s, you're in really no hurry to go faster and go quicker. So this 125cc would fill that category really well. And, strange as it sounds, compared to the other bikes I got here, I found on this 33 kilometre test run on today's trip that I found that I was just riding it like an overpowered bicycle, and it was really quick, nipping in and out around the corners and through the streets and things like that, much more compared to if I was riding the Enfield Triumph or even the X-Max 300. It would be quicker than them, and it sort of rides pretty good considering it's on skinny tyres and 18-inch wheels. So that's my thoughts there, like if you had big bikes and you want to come back to a small one and think, I'd have to settle for one of these to ride around or nothing. Look, it'd be a good bet to get one of these just to ride around because you can have a fair bit of fun on it. In the clip I never said I'm 5'9", 85 kilos, got a 32-inch inseam, flat arse. I found the seat a little bit hard, but, that bit aside, for $3,900 right away, no more to pay, I thought pretty good bike for what it is. Now, the third in the category would be a commuter person who's just after really good fuel economy and they want a cheap little runabout to go to and from work or something to that effect. This would fill that bill perfectly. It's, later on maybe the next tank, I'm going to drain the tank, put a litre of petrol in it, just see how far I can go, being easy on it, riding it around town. And as a rule, I don't like riding around town. So, that'll be something different there. So we'll see how that idea goes, because the purpose of this bike is to get out, run dirt roads, get into the hilly country and give it a rough time. So I've already felt the weight of it, 117 kilos. I think it'll be no drama for me to move that side around compared to the heavy weights I've had out there and, sort of learnt me lesson in that line. Now, the other thing is the opinion on how it goes. I found it was really good in the first 3 gears if you sort of get into it, and it has no trouble sitting on the legal inside limit here around towns in Australia, 50 k's, 30 mile an hour. Does that quite easy, and it's, like I said, really nimble. You can move it around. It's just like riding a bike with a motor in it. So it's good in that way. The other thing, I found it had a really precise 5-speed gearbox and really solid, goes into gears with no drama whatsoever. Never had any false neutrals. When I come down to a couple of stop signs, I did sort of fumble a bit to get first gear, but I think that may have been user error because, like I said, I've got a few bikes and each one you get on's a little bit different. But as far as when I first took off and rode it, I was really impressed how a $3,900 bike could have such a positive gearbox. And the other thing that caught me on the first ride was the stop-start system. It was sort of on when I picked the bike up and rode off on it, and I rode about 2 or 3 kilometres, stopped at a give way sign, the motor cut out, and I thought, oh shit, it's shit itself. And that was the first thing that hit me there. But the stop-start system, where I first would have said, I don't like that idea, really, it works perfectly. It might be the first time they've put it on a Honda manual choke, a manual clutch, but I tell you what, it's pretty good. You pull up, if you're at the corner for more than 5 seconds, it cuts straight out. But you don't have to touch the clutch or anything to turn on. Just get that, touch that accelerator and it starts instantly. I was really surprised how well it went. Now, the ride quality itself I thought was pretty good. I didn't have any real bad complaints about that side of it. So, for what it is, budget-type bike. runs really well there. The brakes itself, I found, I wouldn't class they've had much bite in them. They're not sort of power stoppers, but take into account that it's not a really fast bike, so they're probably adequate for what it is in that line. So the brake side, will get you to a stop, and sometimes it might take 100 kilometres, say, to bed the brakes in, and then you've got a better idea when you get it out along the way to the road, when you start applying them fairly heavy. I like the idea it's got tubeless tyres on it too, because where I'm going to the scrub, that's a plus. So that's good in that line. The dash is really entertaining. It's got all the information there you want. Like I said, this model's got the built-in tacho where the previous model didn't have it. You've got your gear indicator, the what gear in, perfect for learners. It's got the turn-by-turn navigation. It's also got music. It's got the weather. You can take phone calls. You can do all this if you've got the headset and you know how to work the headset. I haven't got the headset, so, you could say bad luck for me. I did find a little bit of vibration or buzziness in the foot pegs. Not too bad in the bars. It was fairly comfortable, and like I said, you could see out the mirrors no trouble when I was going along, so there was no trouble there. And this model's running last model ran a 4 amp battery, this one's running a 5 amp, so it's got a little bit of power, I suppose, for the kick over like that. But overall, I think it's a really good little package for the money, and I think I'll get out there and give it a bit of a workout in the scrub and see how things go that way. And when I had a look at me paintwork on it, where I just thought it was black, in the black ones, if you get into it in sunlight and look into it, it's all little. It's like a metallic type paint where it's got all different colours in it. Like it's got little metal flakes of like red, blue, green, all that sort of stuff mixed in. And when you get in the sun, you see all the colours coming out through the paint. So it's fairly cool how they went to the trouble to that sort of it. So overall, I think I can say to you now, I could even say to you now, I think this one's a heap of shit and might as well get rid of it. It's not worth having, but not the case. It's a pretty good little bike, and even though it cost me nothing, I still have to tell it as I see it. And, I think it's pretty good, and I'm going to get out there and I'll give it a workout in the bloody dirt. That's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to take it out in total stock, because I found that when I take the bikes out and give them a hard life in the dirt, totally stock, no off-road tyres, crap and all that, you look back and say, yeah, that bike really done well. If I take my Enfield out or the other bikes out and they've got the off-road tyres and everything on it, you're expecting it to do it, and it means nothing. And that's the way I look. There's no challenge for me to go out there and get, you buy the bike for $3,900, and then if you can get them, spend $500, put off-road tyres on it. It's just personally a waste of time, because when it comes to the crunch in the end, you've only got 10 horsepower. So my approach with this one is more a slow and steady run through the scrub, and we'll see how that idea goes. And more importantly, I'll have the drones to take out there, the cameras and all that, and I hope to be able to take some really good stuff out there and motor me way through, and then come back and think to myself, yeah, that was a good one. Because in the early days, I used to do exactly that with the 350 and 500 Enfields, and it was more satisfaction taking a stock bike down to a river crossing and getting back out, compared to if I went there with tyres and all that, and then it's just expected, and you say, yeah, well, it should do it, it's got all the stuff on it. No, I want to go to bare bones approach and say, bugger it.